Hello and welcome to the Tech Brain channel. My name is Joe Urenda, and in today's video, we'll be looking at how to generate embeddings when you're using MongoDB as your vector search platform. So one of the questions that I get asked often is how do I implement functionality if using MongoDB as a vector database? How do I implement functionality that will continuously generate embeddings as I insert new documents into my collection? So that will be the focus of our video today. So we'll be exploring triggers in MongoDB Atlas. Triggers, for those of you that are aware of triggers, triggers essentially are using change streams. So this is just a handy way to work with them. The underlying technology there is using MongoDB change streams. So what we'll do is try to compute these embeddings. We've got a service that generates the embeddings for us. I'll be sharing the details of that. But first of all, let's look at what an embedding actually looks like. So embeddings are critical for us to be able to deliver semantic search, certainly in this case. You can also use them in a range of different other scenarios. So we've got a sample mflix database, and in this database, we've got our embedded movies. So this sample data set is easily available from the MongoDB Atlas platform, and I believe you can also download the data set from MongoDB website. So if I look at a typical document, I have a plot, and this is the field that we will be doing searches against. So for this plot, we've decided to convert it into a structured representation. So this vector here, so the vector is generated by us leveraging an embedding endpoint, which then makes use of a large language model. So we're able to capture the meaning of a plot in this embedding. You can tell that the embedding is quite large. Well, it is fairly large. 1,536 elements, doubles in this embedding that capture the meaning of the words in the plot. So when a new movie comes in, I want to be able to get a movie, save it, but also not just that, compute the embedding so that I can actually use this with my vector search index. And I do happen to have a vector search index. So if I go to Atlas search, I'll be able to show you that. So for those that might be curious, is this available on-prem? This is not available on-prem as of this writing or as of this recording. So this is not available on-prem as of this recording. So let's look at our vector index. So it's one that I built earlier. So we can see the definition. So the path that we'll be searching is the plot embedding path that we saw in the collection. And we've got similarity using Euclidean. And obviously there are several other options that I could go for here. So let me go there. So there's cosine, and also there is dot products. If I say edit index, we should be able to see those options. So those are the options: dot, product, cosine, and Euclidean. So in the next video that I present, I'll go through these options and how you can use them and which options are best given your particular use cases. Okay, so I'll just get rid of that. So this is what the vector index looks like in my case. So I'll cancel from that, and we'll start putting the code together to generate these embeddings when a movie is added to the embedded movies collection. So to do that, I need first of all to set up functions that will compute the embeddings. So let me grab the code that I'll need for that. I do have some code that I will grab, and this code is what we see here. Let me just get that. And first of all, say create a function. I'll go to function editor. I'll replace all this boilerplate with my actual function, and I'll give the function a name. So the name of this function is generate embeddings. So I'd like it to generate our embeddings, so I'll put the name there. So that's done. So let's go through the code. What is the code doing? So we've got an embedding endpoint. You could be using any service. We happen to be using that service. It requires us to pass in an API key, which I will set up. So once we've got the endpoint, what we then do is take in whatever the input was. So we take the input, which is this value here, and we then construct essentially a payload that we're going to send to the endpoint. So it's this part here. So we're posting this payload here that contains the endpoint that will do the encoding. We set up some headers, we set up the API key, and we also set up the body. So the body is this bit here. So we're stringifying whatever the input is, well, converting into a JSON equivalent, and then sending it to that endpoint. So we should now be able to save this. There are not many other options to set here. If you've used functions in Atlas, you will know that if there are any dependencies that you need to reference, you can actually add them. So you might have some Node.js dependencies that you need to factor in. So anyway, let me save the document, or rather, let me save this. So generate embeddings, okay, looks like we have some error there. So I'll look at the name. What name did I give? Okay, there's a trailing white space. I'll hit that again. Okay, so next is to review what I've done. So essentially this is just similar to what you might get when you're trying to check in some code. You can see the changes going in. So this is what I've added, or the lines with pluses before them. That's the new stuff. Okay, that looks about right. So I'll deploy that. I can then proceed to set up my other function. My other function will be called set embedding, and what it will do is invoke this function with the value of the plot that's been inserted into the document, and then that will set the vector field on the document. Okay, so let me get my set embedding function. So it's this one here. So my set embedding function is something that I can add. So I'll click here and I'll say create a function, and I'll call it set embedding. Set embedding. In fact, set embeddings is the name of the function. And I'll go to function editor, remove all that boilerplate, and put my set embeddings function. So it takes two arguments. So this will be the underscore ID, or the primary key for the movie, and also the plot. What do we do next? Next, we set up the collection that we'll be referencing. Sample Amplix is the database, and the collection is embedded movies. And what we do is the plot that was passed in, we pass it to the generate embeddings, and we get our embeddings. Once we've got our embeddings, we are going to update the document. Which document? The document with the ID that was passed in. So we set the plot embeddings, and if there's any error, we display it, and obviously we return a message to tell us if there was a modification. So that is the function to set the embedding. So we've had to break it down, just make it a little bit modular, rather than shoving this into the generate embeddings. You can actually break it up. It's easier for maintenance as well. So I'll save the document or the script. So I'll save the script and then review and deploy. So those are my changes. That looks all fine. So once those changes have been deployed, I now need to create a trigger. So the trigger I'm creating is a database trigger. So this trigger will respond. So I'll call it, I'll give it a name, and the name for this trigger, let's decide on a name. We'll call it add embeddings. So we'll say add embeddings trigger. So that's the name. And what options do I need here? So the important options are I need to set a watch against the collection. So I'm watching for any inserts into the collection. That's the cluster. And anything else, that's the collection. Rather, that's the database. So that's the database. And we get to set the collection. So the collection is embedded movies, and we want a trigger that will fire or execute when a document is inserted. It is also possible for us to have a trigger that fires if we ever update the plot. Unlikely that the plot will be updated, but if at all it was updated, you'd need to also set up a watch on the update. So I definitely want the full document. So we'll be able to receive, if we set this option to on, we'll be able to receive the document created or modified in the change event. Okay, so anything else? Nope, this doesn't apply since we don't want to get the document that was there before. Well, there was no document there before since we're doing an insert. So now I'll go and select that option and give the function a name. So we'll call the function add embeddings trigger function. I can copy some of that and create a new function. So that's the name of the function. That's the name of the function. Okay, so I've got my function name, and obviously this boilerplate has to be replaced with the code that will actually perform the update. So I'll take all of that and paste it here. So this function is taking a change event, and the change event has a full document, which was that option that I selected earlier. So full document of that, I can get the ID, I can get the plot. With these two arguments, I can then invoke set embeddings, passing in the ID and the plot. Okay, so I think we're good to go. But I can also test this. It would be great if I could actually test this before I run it. So one way you can actually do that is create a document that has these arguments. So you'll say, I have a full document, and then you can pass it down here and see the results. I'll forego that though and just save this. So I'll save that. And it tells me that it was saved successfully, but I do need to review my changes and deploy them. So the way we're reading this is, here is the function for the trigger, and further down here is a definition for the function. It's a private function, and these are the options that I was selecting. So you can tell it's a JSON document that specifies the trigger itself, and that's the function that the trigger will call or execute. So we're good to go. I'll deploy that. So let's say we've got a new movie coming in, and our new movie is the following. So what I can do is perhaps share this bit of code. What does our new movie look like? So I will take this bit of code here um, and paste it over here. At least you can see what I'm doing. And this is my new movie. So it's got a title of Barbie, and that's the plot, and that's the rating. We haven't bothered with any other fields. The key thing for us is to be able to compute this embedding. So let's try running this. I will need, so let me check. I will need to actually log in to the database via the shell. It's going to be much easier than me trying to insert this via the Atlas UI. So I'll ask for the connection command. So I'll go here, click that, and then go to shell, and then grab that. I also need to make sure that my IP address is on the access list. So I go to network, and looks like I should be able to connect. Let's see. I'll just verify. Add current IP address, confirm, and we're done. So my current IP address has been added. And what do I do from here? So I'll fire up a Mongo shell. So I'll say something like that and exit. And I can paste that in. So take me there. Hopefully I've got the right password here. Okay, it looks like I'm in. And I will then say use sample mflix, and we've got db dot embedded movies count documents. How many documents do we have in here? Okay, that's the number of documents that we've got. So I'll take this bit of code and run it. So run it. Document has been inserted. So let's find this document with that object ID. Alternatively, I can find it by name. So I will take this title and say db dot embedded movies, and we do a find. Have we been able to compute the embedding? So probably not, because there's one crucial step that's missing here. But let's see. Actually, no, there'll be no embedding computed for this. Oh, actually, there is an embedding computed for this. So as you can see there, that's my embedding, and it's been computed for the document. So I had set up my API key initially. So if we get another movie inserted, that's really the idea behind this. So you can actually find that triggers will be able to complete this part of your workflow, the creation of embeddings for documents that you insert. Because that seems to be one of the things that I constantly get asked as I add documents, as my documents go through a natural cycle of insertion, update, deletion. How do I get to update the embedding? Well, this is one way you can do it. use Atlas triggers as well as functions. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the video there. Hopefully you found something useful in that little demo. So remember to subscribe, like, and share. And if you want more great content, come back to the channel. Thank you and have a great day. Bye now.